The sun sat low over Bentonville, casting elongated silhouettes of the town's red brick facades. A meek surrender to the encroaching twilight, the sun's feeble rays lost their battle against the sprawling darkness. Nestled amidst the suburban tableau, an old building, weathered by time, stood resilient, the local homeless shelter. A nondescript figure, shoulders stooped with the weight of age and wisdom, approached the shelter. It was Edwin Goodwin, a familiar face around Bentonville, more so to its forgotten denizens. A local journalist, he bore the kind of countenance that held stories as deeply etched as the lines on his face. His conversation with Mrs. Doris, the aging director of the shelter, was laden with the comfort of old friendship. "Still fighting the good fight, I see," he noted, a soft smile curving his lips, eyes twinkling with admiration. Doris shrugged, her smile a brittle testament to her enduring spirit. "Someone's got to, Ed. These folks don't have much else." He looked over the room, landing on the inhabitants of the shelter. His gaze was kind, yet underneath the kindness lay a hint of sorrow. There was an unsaid familiarity to this kind of poverty, a shadow from his own past. He'd spent his childhood not too dissimilarly, an existence that hardened his spirit yet kept his heart tender. He saw a mirror of his former self in these souls, forgotten by the world, yet resilient in their existence. His conversation with one of the homeless, a man named Joe, was filled with a shared understanding. The words they exchanged were as much about the hard realities of life as they were about the town's rumors of smugglers and strange happenings. Edwin's keen journalistic instinct tingled at the hint of an untold story. Under the guise of the usual, there was an undercurrent of something unsaid, something unseen. Whispers among the homeless, tensions uncharacteristic of the close-knit community, things that didn't add up. The familiar rustling of Bentonville was becoming a haunting lullaby of secrets and intrigue. Walking back to his small, cluttered office later that night, his mind was a whirl of thoughts. He knew he owed a debt to Doris and the shelter for the kindness they had shown him in his time of need. The tendrils of gratitude reaching across the years spurred him on, a slow-burning flame of determination ignited in his heart. It wasn't just another story to him. It was a chance to return the favor. The town of Bentonville awakened to a dawn as silent as the whispers Edwin sought to decode. With the morning's first light, he was once again at the shelter, his senses alert, eyes probing, ready to unravel the enigma of the unsettling tales he had begun to hear. He settled into a routine of spending his days among the shelter's inhabitants, trying to unearth the truth behind the strange occurrences. His persistence became a gentle hum in the rhythm of the shelter, his compassionate queries a melody in the cacophony of whispers. Joe, once a reticent conversationalist, began to open up, the lines of his hardened visage softening as trust was gradually forged. Beneath the veneer of their mundane conversations about the weather, the conditions at the shelter, the latest football scores, a chilling narrative began to emerge. Tales of figures that moved like shadows, of voices that seemed to echo from a bottomless abyss, of people who were there one day and inexplicably gone the next. He found himself conversing more with Doris. The quiet fortitude in her eyes was beginning to give way to an undercurrent of fear. She spoke hesitantly about the men who came under the shroud of darkness, men who wore the skin of charity, yet their eyes reflected a deeper, darker purpose. "I think they're smugglers, Ed," Doris whispered one evening, her voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. I can't prove it, but I've seen things. The way they look at our people, it's like they're appraising cattle, not helping humans." The more he delved into the mystery, the more alien it felt. A spectral dread was descending on the shelter, a presence that was not of this world. He felt it, a chill creeping into his very marrow, a pervasive silence that echoed with otherworldly whispers. His journalistic instinct and his desire to protect the inhabitants of the shelter were like twin flames, pushing him deeper into the labyrinth of uncertainty. His brave pursuit of truth was tested by the emergence of fear, a fear that gnawed at the edges of his sanity. Yet he persisted. A clandestine shroud enveloped Bentonville as Edwin delved deeper into the mystery. The uncanny whispers that he'd heard took form in the chilling discovery he made. Alien parasites were controlling people within the shelter. This was no common smuggling operation. It was a reality-bending, nightmarish infiltration that transcended the realm of the ordinary. His first encounter with these parasitic creatures was in the quietude of a Bentonville night. He had tracked one of the suspicious men to a secluded area on the outskirts of town. Concealed within the embrace of darkness, he watched as the man performed a grotesque transformation. The man's form wavered, a shadow within shadows, and then contorted unnaturally, revealing the alien entity that was hiding beneath the skin of a human. A surge of terror and disbelief washed over him as he bore witness to the otherworldly spectacle. Yet his seasoned resolve did not falter. The brave heart that had weathered poverty and hardship was not easily deterred. As the monstrous reality unfolded before him, his journalistic instinct transformed into a fervor to protect his community. In the following days, his conversations with Doris and Joe took on a grimmer note. The words exchanged were no longer whispers. They were pleas for understanding, for belief in the unbelievable. His voice carried the weight of his chilling discovery, painting a picture of the lurking shadows that threatened to consume their peaceful existence. Joe, a man weathered by hardships, bore the news with a stoic calmness. Always knew there was something off about those folks, he muttered, his gaze distant. Doris, however, struggled with the revelation. The sanctuary she had worked so hard to maintain was invaded by unimaginable horrors. Yet her spirit remained unbroken, the fire in her eyes a testament to her enduring resolve. His days were now filled with cautious observations, cryptic dialogues, and surreptitious investigations. Every conversation, every interaction became a potential clue. He kept his knowledge hidden, navigating the thin line between revealing the terrifying truth and inciting panic. Each step he took was a dance with danger, his every action fraught with the possibility of alerting the alien entities of his knowledge. The slow burn of horror mixed with the adrenal rush of his perilous endeavor. And amidst this daunting reality, he stood steadfast, fueled by his unwavering bravery and the unspoken promise he had made to Doris and to himself. As he found himself pulled further into the creeping abyss, the small town of Bentonville transformed before his eyes. Once a beacon of tranquility, it now harbored a cosmic horror within its unsuspecting boundaries. The lurking shadows of the alien parasites were now an integral part of his world, a silent invasion that threatened to engulf his beloved community. The unveiling of the cosmic terror had birthed a ticking clock within the heart of Bentonville. With each passing day, Edwin felt the dread-laden seconds fall away, a sandglass of inevitability emptying as the hour of reckoning neared. As he tried to strategize, the alien parasite's pervasive reach gnawed at the edges of his mind. He walked through the town, his every step echoing the surreality of the situation. The familiar sights, the park where children played, the local grocery store, the church's silent steeple, were all touched by the insidious spread of the alien parasites. He continued his discussions with Doris and Joe, each dialogue now carrying the urgency of a time bomb. They spoke in hushed voices, their words wreathed in the mingling fear and resolve. They were no longer just sharing information, but were waging a silent war, an act of defiance against the imminent doom. Doris's office had become a refuge, a hub for their secret meetings. It was within these confinements that he shared his plans, his ideas on how to fight back. "We have to find their weakness. There must be something we can do to stop them," he would assert, his eyes gleaming with determination. And yet his brave endeavor felt like an ant staring down a tidal wave. His resilience was met with the stark realization of his own insignificance in the grand cosmic scheme. He was a single man against an entity that was not just of another world, but of another realm of existence. The once comforting familiarity of his town now echoed with eerie strangeness. Every smile of his neighbors, every polite nod was now laced with uncertainty. Who was under the control of the alien parasite, and who was still clinging on to their fading human will? As the days trickled into weeks, he found himself descending further into this foreboding chasm. His world, once ruled by the known and the rational, was now a chaotic whirl of the unknown and the inexplicable. Bentonville was no longer just a quaint little town in Arkansas. It was a battleground where humanity clashed with alien horror. The quiet rhythm of Bentonville was gradually replaced by an uncanny silence as the days dwindled. This once humble town was now a tableau of haunting suspense, with Edwin standing at its epicenter. The tangible tension was no longer a hushed whisper, but a deafening chorus of the impending unknown. In the confines of Doris's office, his interactions took on a sense of finality. The terror that they were facing was no longer an invisible force, but an unavoidable eventuality. "We've done what we can, Doris," he admitted, a bitter taste of defeat touching his words. This is bigger than us." Doris nodded, her eyes showing an understanding of the extraordinary reality they were confronting. "What do we do now, Ed?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He took a deep breath, the weight of his decision heavy on his shoulders. "We embrace it," he said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his heart. The shelter, once a refuge for the forgotten souls, had become the stage for the final act of this cosmic play. The air was thick with a heavy anticipation, a silence before the storm. He met with Joe, their conversation now a goodbye hidden under layers of bravado and shared memories. "You've been a good friend, Ed," Joe confessed, his gruff exterior wavering for a moment. Edwin, a testament to the unwavering spirit of humanity, managed a genuine smile. "Likewise, Joe." He found himself standing at the threshold of the shelter, his heart pounding a fierce rhythm against the otherworldly silence. He took one last look at Bentonville, the quaint little town now a chilling canvas of cosmic horror. And then he stepped inside. There was an eerie elegance to the final moments, a dance between man and alien, reality and the unimaginable. He found himself face to face with the entities. His every instinct screamed at the grotesque sight, the terror threatening to shatter his sanity. But he was not just a journalist. He was a man who had battled poverty, survived hardships, and carried the weight of his town's hopes. He felt the alien parasite slither into his mind, an intrusive force seeking control. He resisted, his spirit battling against the incomprehensible terror. But as the struggle raged on, a terrifying realization began to dawn upon him. The parasite was not just a conqueror. It was an invite to join the cosmic dance of existence, a key to the understanding of the universe's hidden truths. And so, in the face of overwhelming terror, he made his choice. His journey, from being a tenacious journalist to the last line of defense against a cosmic invasion, culminated in his decision to join the Dark Power. It was not an act of surrender, but a realization of his insignificance and the unfathomable vastness of the cosmos. As the dawn painted the sky with a deceptive tranquility, Bentonville stirred to a new day, unaware of the cosmic transformation that had transpired. And in the heart of it all, a man once dedicated to unearthing stories became a part of the most extraordinary tale ever told, a tale woven in the endless tapestry of cosmic horror. In his embrace of the abyss, Edwin had become an integral part of the cosmic dance, forever entwined in the chilling beauty of the alien invasion. We appreciate you tuning in. If you fancied the content, show your support with a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to keep up with our eerie adventures. Eldritch Tales Factory has plenty more to offer. Until next time.